Israelis are being hunted all over the world. Shalom, I'm Shani Ferguson, and this is our first update in 2025. We are just getting started. And of course, it's been a very, very busy year end coming into the new year. We have been fired on by Yemen now that everything has died down in Gaza. And I say things have died down because we have less rockets being fired from Gaza, not no rockets. Lebanon has quieted since the ceasefire agreement, but recent reports say that Hezbollah has been rearming, which was part of the deal, that they would not do this and that the Lebanese army would make sure that they're not doing it. Which this means, of course, what we always knew is that the Lebanese army is not really strong enough to rein in Hezbollah. Now in Gaza, we've had some 19 rockets fired in the past week or so, which means they're still active and they're still able to fire, and they're still firing from schools, from hospitals, and areas where there are homes and people are actually staying there. And so there are protests in Gaza against what Hamas is doing because the people who are living there or people who have fled to certain areas realize that so long as Hamas is firing rockets from areas near them, their lives are in danger. And so there has been pushback against that in Gaza. Of course, some of the footage has come out where IDF soldiers have allowed Gazan refugees to move to other locations. And the funny thing is that the Palestinian Authority has gotten very upset with Al Jazeera that has been filming and showing footage of Palestinian refugees being allowed to move to safer areas because they consider it hasata, which is the Hebrew word for trying to turn someone against you. And I can't think of the word in English. And so basically what they're saying is that Al Jazeera is turning opinions against Hamas by airing actual footage of Gazan refugees being allowed to go to safer areas so Israel can take care of Hamas terrorists. So back to Yemen, now that things have relatively died down from Lebanon and from Gaza, and of course Syria is busy trying to rebuild, Yemen has been firing at us almost nightly. This is what we call in Hebrew Milchemet Hatasha, which is a war of attrition, I think is the word, basically wearing out the public, wearing us out by firing one missile every night in that hour where you're really enjoying your sleep, about 2 in the morning, 5 in the morning, waking up half the country because when they fire these giant ballistic missiles, their potential landing space is huge. It can be anywhere from Tel Aviv all the way to Jerusalem and down south. And so you have millions of people every single night, night after night, who have to get up. Many of them have to leave their apartments, go down several floors, and either be in a stairwell or go down to a bomb shelter because these are ballistic missiles. They're huge. They can take down buildings. Some of them have hit schools. And so this war that Yemen is, essentially the Houthis in Yemen are waging on Israel, is not necessarily by the numbers because it's a missile every night, but it is draining, it is wearing out, and America has been taking care of responding to some of those attacks. America even released some footage of firing from their ships into Houthi areas. They've hit the airport, significant locations. And at the same time, we have some really great footage of our IDF soldiers going into this Iranian center that was used to create weapons that would then be smuggled into Lebanon. And they just completely took out the place, emptied it, and neutralized it, as we like to say. But back to Israelis being hunted. This morning we woke up to news that isn't the first time we've heard, but it is the first time we've heard of it happening in Brazil, where we had an Israeli soldier that had completed service or had some time off in between his service in Gaza defending Israel and defending Gazans' right to live without Hamas. He had to flee the country in the middle of the night because an organization in Europe that has been focused on hunting down Israelis who served in this war and getting them arrested in one of the many countries that are under the International Criminal Court. Ever since arrest warrants came out for our Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, for our Minister of Defense Gallant, ever since that has happened, this organization has really pushed hard to try to get Israelis arrested anywhere they are around the world. Now, of course, their ability to even track down who these soldiers are is because many of the soldiers who have been fighting for over a year have uploaded pictures of themselves in service, which, by the way, is against the rules, but it's really hard. As you know, social media is its own phenomenon. So this anti-Israel organization called Hind Rajab that is based in Europe, in Belgium, I believe, has essentially taken it on themselves to hunt down via digital fingerprint Israeli soldiers who have served anywhere during this war and have them tried in criminal courts all over the world. So far, they have not succeeded in having anyone arrested and tried. However, it does set a precedent and it does create fear, because really the standard could shift at any point. The minute you can arrest someone for obeying an order, then you can arrest someone for supporting that order. And that means what if people who aren't Israelis that are overseas and they say that they support the war, then they could be arrested for supporting war crimes. The possibilities are endless the minute you allow individual countries all over the world to suddenly take international law into their hands. And so this is a precedent that needs to be prayed against. Protection for Israelis who are traveling abroad, and of course, countries who will take a stand and say, we're not going to support this wild new attack on Israelis. Anytime they leave the country, they need to feel like they're in danger of being arrested or tried. Even if they're proven innocent, it's still going to be a long process, and you have lives of Israelis who need to be able to continue in peace. And so I would encourage, especially the people of Brazil now, to make their voices heard. We know that the government in Brazil is very anti-Israel, but we also know that the people of Brazil are overwhelmingly for Israel. And so Brazilians have more of a voice with the power of prayer to supersede anything the Brazilian government would like to do. And whatever country you're from, your power of prayer with the people of God will supersede any political authority. So I encourage you to pray, and I encourage you to speak up. As of March this year, many of the towns and villages that are along the Kavat Tefil, which is where the wall is in the Palestinian territories, are going to lose their military protection that they've had so far, and they're going to have to get volunteer civilian protection. And so in preparation for this, many of the cities have been purchasing drones and security cameras to be able to have surveillance on the borders of their towns. This is something that IsraelNeedsMe.com has been giving into, and something that we would encourage you to do to invest in the protection of the future of Israel. And finally, I know some of you are thinking to come here in the spring and the summer. We would love to hear from you. We are in Jerusalem. You can come see the Maoz headquarters and see everything that's going on. If you haven't had a chance to see our year-end video where we just give you this amazing summary of everything that is going on in Maoz in the studios and that has been going on for the past 50 years, go check it out at maozisrael.org. And until next time, I'm Shani Ferguson from Jerusalem.